It's a fantastic movie.
And look who comes back to direct music.
Andy Newman. Yeah, maybe that sucks.
No, Cars is fantastic. I love this movie. I think the reason I enjoy this movie so much is I used to play with little cars when I was a kid. And I used to like make them talk and do all these things. But really the movie takes hold when this movie is like the movie for me is when they go to Radiator Springs. And every character is interesting and unique and they all make sense. And there's so many jokes that there's no way. I mean, we always talk about
and critics agree with me as well.
Did you go on like road trips as a kid? Like, to stuff like that, or maybe that's
Santa Cruz. I mean, in Vegas, obviously, when I was growing up.
Because that's honestly what it felt like. It felt like, you know, you get in the RV, you drive, and you go to some
never
RV
been in an
park.
RV.
See, I think that's part of it, because when they come through that tunnel and they've got the big mountain and the waterfall and they're driving around, and again, this is the music, and this is just amazing. I love the music. I love.
Oh, skip all those songs.
Really?
I like it.
I like it. I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, critics agree with me, David.
Yeah, I know.
Because this is sitting at a 74% Rotten Tomatoes, which is still certified fresh, but it is the lowest out of all the Pixar movies since this movie came out, or until this movie came out. And then the budget was $120 million, which is the highest of any Pixar movie during this time.
Well, you're moving up from 95 to what? 2002, 2003. 2006.
Yeah.
So there's inflation here too, buddy.
No,
so
I know.
120 million.
Box office only made $462 million.
No, I have to admit, I didn't see this in the movie theaters because I remember seeing the trailers and being like, "Oh, I can do without." And it wasn't until, again, I was babysitting some kid, and their parent was like, "Oh, you should watch this movie. It's really cute."
We've seen it 10,000 times.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll try it out." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's kind of cute. I like this."
Now, the thing I think about Cars, and I think this is probably maybe why it gets some criticism, is although it wasn't a huge box office success as far as, you know, in the pantheon of Pixar movies, they sold a lot of merchandise.
Oh,
like,
it's
yeah.
the highest,
God.
highest merchandise of any movie, any Pixar movie.
So they made their money one way or another.
And of course, now it has its own land in Disney California Adventure because of that. And
but the ending
that
of
was to
this
make a
movie
crap ton of
is
movie.
so
We have Cars
good.
2, Cars 3 they're developing. And
I'm just thinking of the end of the movie. The end of the movie where he pushes the other guy across the finish line. Like, I freaking love this movie.
That's pretty good.
The more I think about it, the more I enjoy this movie. I like the part when he, you know, he's the jock, right? He's the jock that gets the girl and he wins the football game. You know, he's the
Ka-chow.
Yeah, and he learns
Kachuga.
he learns that it's not just all about winning. It's not all about. It's about being a good car. I was gonna say person.
A lot of cars line up in the bathroom. What is going on in those bathrooms?
I always actually enjoy.
No, I like
part.
those cute little jokes.
I like it when they do
it doesn't
that.
when it does make sense.
Right, it doesn't make any sense. It's I love that stuff. That's some of my favorite stuff is when they kind of, it doesn't, you know. Okay, now the thing about Cars that actually makes this movie even better in retrospect is we recently went to California Adventure, Cars Land.
Cars Land is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's exactly like the freaking movie.
Yeah, and it's like the mountains that were out there, it took people...
Radiator Springs.
Yeah, Radiator Springs, like, it's a ridiculous amount of time. I think it took them, like, I don't know how long, I think like 3 or 4 years, and it took like 2 years of those 4 years to just make the mountains. Like, people are like chiseling like these little...
I don't know.
Just to make it look
fenders.
just right.
Quickly. And I was there.
And the other big thing I like about that, what is it called? That ride that floats, like it's this weird bumper car
Yeah,
floating.
those aren't there
Luigi's
anymore, but yeah.
Flying tires, no.
You like that?
Yeah, it was
fun. Oh
fun.
my God, David.
Yeah.
Why do we agree on or disagree on Cars things so much? That ride is terrible. It's the fact that it doesn't even exist anymore.
It's not there anymore?
No, they replaced it because that ride is terrible.
Really?
Now it's like Luigi's like line dance or something like that.
Aw, I like that ride because it was like this. You felt like you're floating. Like that's cool. I don't know. I thought it was cool.
From a failed idea from Tomorrowland.
Oh.
The saucers.
Yeah, the flying saucers.
Yeah.
So,
we'll end on this sad note of
no,
Cars.
No. I think too, Cars is, you know, when the merchandise makes sense. I mean, it's already built in, right? You make little cars.
You put eyes on everything, you sell it.
Yeah.
Done.
But just again.
Yeah, it's the second to worst Pixar movie of all time. Really.
Yeah. And then we'll get to the other ones. We've got still more to go.
One.
I think at this point too, in the Pixar point, I'm starting. It was 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, I'm in college. It's a little bit different. My expectations of what I want from a movie, but also the impact of the storytelling devices are different because I'm older. I've I've become wiser. I know what the jokes mean now.
Wise?
But you know what I mean. Like, and I've had enough human, interactions and social.
You can relate more to these things.
Right.
Too.
That's my thing. And so
more human elements.
I'm really excited to get over the next grouping because it's kind of a different, I would say at this point, it's kind of the turning point in my life where I'm in college. You learn yourself in college. What is it? There's a time and place for everything.
Well, I dropped out twice. I learned a lot from that.
Exactly.
But after Cars now, we're at a yearly schedule up until Monsters University. I waited 2 years between that and Inside Out. But we got a year. Every year we got a Pixar movie now.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't seem like the culture has changed a tremendous amount from the beginning days. Obviously, the budget's higher. I'm sure there's more oversight. There's a tremendous amount of more employees. Mm-hmm. But it still feels, their movies always have the same pace, not pacing, but same feel through them. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's enjoying it. It's a fun story that you can watch. To be honest, you can watch these movies over and over again, and there's unique and different things because they put so much in these movies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's again.
I want to say that I know we're halfway through, but all these movies I quote from all the time. It seems like almost every day I'm quoting something from Toy Story or something from some other Pixar movie. Or
I call you a child's plaything all the time.
Whoa, hey!
I call you uncultured swine on Twitter all the time.
That's true.
But I think, what's interesting is one thing that we got to enjoy, maybe more than kids now, is that we saw the progression of the technology along with the art form, right?
Yeah, we grew up with it.
Right. Whereas, the same, it's almost an analogy to like watching The Sword in the Stone and watching The Great Mouse Detective. Like there was clearly, huge iterations in 2D animation, but we got it all downloaded at once.
Right.
So it's always interesting to get that perspective of like Toy Story means something different to us because it was unlike anything else. And if you went back and watched Toy Story, which I still think it holds up really well.
It does.
The reason it will always be an enjoyable movie is because it's a good story. And that's the whole point of Pixar is that you can watch, and it's the same thing about the 2D animation stuff. It will always be enjoyable to watch. Now, at the same time all this 3D animation was going on, there was tons of other studios. Shark Tale came out, which was like...
Ants came out, but during Bug's Life.
Yeah.
And Bug's Life did way better than Ants did.
Right. And
even though Ants came out 2 months before.
And I think at this point, right when we're at the Cars, maybe even before that, 2D's gone. 2D's pretty much dead in the water. Disney animation, for the most part, is not making
Princess
any...
and the Frog was
animation
the last big
won't come
one,
back until like 2009, so it's still quite a bit of gap.
And they thought, and they talked to Roy Disney, they talked to all these other, and they thought, well, people are just bored with 2D. Nobody wants 2D, but that's not true because, the Toy Story at some point in time will look like garbage. At some point in time, I'm sure it will.
If you compare it now to like Good Dinosaur, it looks like garbage now.
But that's my point. But that's my point is that it's still an enjoyable movie to watch, regardless of the fact that it has dated itself through technology, because it's an interesting and engaging story. And that's what Pixar has always had the brilliance behind.
But I think that guy was right. Kids these days don't like they like 3D over 2D just because it's more engaging. It's pops in your face. It's more fun.
I don't think so. I think even if you had a 2D, animation, I still think it would be popular. Like Pokemon was popular during 2000 and period, right?
I mean, you can't. That's different, dude.
How is that different?
It's a TV show. It's a franchise.
It's 2D animation, though.
No, I know.
I'm not.
But you're comparing 3D animated TV shows to 2D animated TV shows. It's different because you had freaking Beast Wars and that TV show sucked.
Well, yeah, of course. There's always a bad example. I'm just saying. I think what Pixar, and then the reason I think my theory holds true is because there were other 3D movies that came out that looked just as good, sometimes even better. DreamWorks movies. There was another company I can't think of off the top of my head.
Because they're garbage.
Well, they were 3D. They were great looking 3D movies that had no soul. Shark's Tale is like about a mafia movie, and there's a car wash scene.
Will Smith.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of them that are out there. So
I think How to Train Your Dragon was like the first holy crap, this could be better than Pixar.
Right. And that's
only recent.
Yeah.
Fairly.
And people will always like good stories with engaging and thoughtful characters and good, good motifs that run throughout the story. Those are the things people want. That's why people still read books. Okay. People still read books. We're still doing that, and we got 3D animated
still watch
movies.
TV.
Right. So that's my point. Is but it's interesting to note that there was this big push throughout the industry to go, well, if you just make a 3D movie, you're going to make a crap ton of money.
That still is the theme. You see crap 3D movies thrown out all the time just to get kids.
Yeah, but I also...
And it works, but they're not nearly the same as successful as these Pixar movies.
Right,
obviously.
and I also think originally, I know when 3D was coming out with these movies, Disney even was had trepidation with it because they were like, well, is it cheaper? Is it faster? And they're like, no. And they're like, then why are we doing it? Yeah. We do 2D. Like, why are you wasting your time? But we
obviously paid off in the end.
Well, clearly.
Literally.
I'm still blown away that you went from a $6 million investment and 5 years later you sold it for $7.4 billion. Like,
Stevie J, man.
Jeez, man. Just, oh, man. Anyways, we're gonna have a second episode. Don't worry. We'll get to
next week.
I'll be back.
We'll get to everyone's favorite, Cars 2. Just kidding. We'll get to that and all the other ones. And I will be able to catch up because there is a couple on that final list here that I haven't seen. So I will do I will do my homework between now and then.
Good.
Before we wrap up the podcast, I do want to say a couple things. One is go donate to St. Jude's. We're having our contest right now.
It's for the kids.
For the kids.
Just like these Pixar movies.
Yeah, exactly. June for St. Jude's. All you got to do is donate $5 to stjude.org/donate. Post it to your Instagram or Twitter with hashtag SDS giveaway.
Make sure it public so that David can see it.
Yeah, or just email us if you don't want to put it on your Instagram or Twitter.
Or me when I'm lurking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, you're donating the kids. Don't you want all your friends and family to know?
Yeah, I want to see it.
Oh, you donated? Oh,
let me tell you this.
Nice.
If you put it on Twitter, if you put it on Instagram, I will personally thank every single person. I've done it so far. I will personally thank you because it really does mean a lot to me.
He will
it's
call
super
you
cool.
in the middle of the night.
I will
while
call
you're
you
sleeping.
in the middle of the night. And thank you.
I didn't give you my phone number. I will find it.
Hello? Hello? Thanks. For what?
Click.
Super creepy. But like I said, you just go to stjudes.org/donate. Donate $5. You can email it to us. It's at
sitdownstandard@gmail.com.
Okay, so definitely do that. We have lots of prizes to give away. Remember, 2 limitations. Got to be a continental U.S. resident. You want to apologize to another U.S. territory?
Sorry, Virgin Islands.
Okay, good. And you have to, it's one entry per person. So remember, those are your 2 limitations. Get out there, donate. Until next time, bye.
See ya.
Bye.